John, it's hard to believe that 4 years ago today, one of the greatest tragedies in the history of the country occurred, and then that led to you and I collaborating. How are you today, John?
I'm well, Jason. Good to see you. Yeah, 4 years ago, October 1st, 2017, a lot of people's lives changed that day. Yours, mine.
They did.
Yeah. So, and then, of course, all the victims and the people who were there. And, of course, we're talking about the Las Vegas shooting, the Route 91 shooting that took place October 1st, 2017. It was a Sunday night, and we're doing this broadcast on October 1st, which is a Friday night. And, you know, some people, I guess like me, tend to equate the day of the week more with the event. So for me, it's more about that Sunday, you know, that particular Sunday night. And same is true for me also with September 11th. So in my mind, my experience, it was very much a Tuesday morning. And so when September 11th falls on other days, it's not the same. So when it was September 11th falls on a Tuesday, then it feels like the same. So
it's only happened a few times since the date, but right. I mean, there's been so much that's gone on. I feel like I've heard very little about the Las Vegas shooting today specifically, which says a lot about all the crap that's going on in the world. Since then, even with the revelations of 9/11, you and I did a show previously where we spoke about some of the people who came out in this newly declassified 9/11 information and seemed connected in ways to a lot of the research that you've come up with in terms of researching the Las Vegas shooting. I mean, I've said this many times before, John. I don't know if people agree with me or not. I think most sensible people would. You are basically the leader in this investigation. Now, wait a minute. Do we not have the John E. Hoover channel giving us a live stream? I did put in your stream key there, but we'll get that up there. Apologize to the viewers who are with us on the John E. Hoover channel. They can check it out on Crowdsource the Truth 5. I'm looking right at it over here. It's armed. It should be going.
Yeah.
It says online. Very strange. The internet does wild and woolly things, John, and, you know, particularly YouTube. This is one of the reasons why you and I have created this sponsor-exclusive show that people are going to be able to see tonight starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen, patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, and subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I've also created the John Cullen Investigates YouTube channel, which is a co-host channel. It's operated by me, and people can watch our live streams here as well as your historic appearances on Crowdsource the Truth. I want to thank the people who are subscribing to the John Cullen Investigates channel. We're almost at 2,000 subscribers on there, John.
That's great. That's great. Well, I just sent a note in the chat room at the John E. Hoover channel that people should go to either Crowdsource the Truth. Where are we streaming? Crowdsource the Truth 5?
Yep.
Okay, so Crowdsource the Truth 5, 6, or John Cullen Investigates. So I just
people can find all of these co-host channels at any Crowdsource the Truth channel on YouTube. If you scroll down to the bottom, I've put links to all the featured channels, which are all the other backup crowd, and your channel, of course, John. People should subscribe to the John E. Hoover channel, but it's like a neck and neck race between you and Hawkins. Some of the other co-hosts still need to catch up. Charles, of course, been a co-host longer than anybody else, and his channel has lots of viewers. But what are we going to talk about tonight, John, during the sponsor exclusive segment?
Well, there's certain aspects of the Las Vegas shooting that I think many people have questions about. There's some new evidence that was brought forth by the FBI that most people haven't seen because of when it was brought forth. I think I sent you an email an hour or two ago with a PDF document, about 10 megabytes, and we're going to take a look at that. And this piece of evidence We're going to review this in our patron-only hour in detail. But this is the FBI Laboratories ballistic testing results report that they materialized in March of 2020.
This is from a lawsuit, it looks like, based on the stuff here at the top. So is this a civil case against somebody where this has been, subpoenaed? This is evidence from the FBI.
We're going to have to find out. But what's interesting is that this came forward in March. Look at that date, March of 2020. March 9th of 2020 was the Monday of the week that President Trump declared a national emergency in the entire country.
Oh.
All right. So the COVID emergency was declared March 13th. And on March 9th, the FBI drops this piece of documentary evidence that says that they... Go ahead.
But they're not dropping it. This looks to me like an exhibit, or this is something from a lawsuit. So somebody said, hey, give us this. And a federal court was like, yeah, hey, by the way, where is that? So I'm going to look at the case while you talk, and we'll see if we can learn more about that.
All right. So this document shows up March of 2020, almost 3 years later, 2.5 years after the event. This shows up. Now, I had been saying in many, many videos that this didn't exist because when the FBI gave their final report, they didn't produce this. All right. Now, we're going to look at this, and when we go patron only on Subscribestar and Patreon, I'm going to show you some elements in this report that are kind of hidden in plain sight, which is the kind of thing that we typically do. So I'm going to show you some elements of the report that are hidden in plain sight that you're going to look at that and go, well, what the hell is that? And we learn things from this report, such as of the 8 shots that were fired from room 32-134, of the 8, 7 of those expended brass cartridges were recovered from the bed in 32-134, and only 1 of them was on the floor. That's a level of detail that we didn't have before, which makes it sound, well, it's weird unless the shooter broke the window and then lied down in the bed to take the shots on their belly.
Why would you do that?
So, because you're used to shooting prone at long distances. So if you do a quick search, and you can show everybody a picture, long distance NRA shooters, so guys who shoot in NRA tournaments and stuff that shoot long distance, typically shoot in the prone position. They're lying down on their stomachs.
No, I guess that's what we were doing when we were in the desert, right?
Yeah, that's right. You were lying down on the mat. Yeah, you lied down. That's exactly right. So if this is what you're used to, and this is how you're used to shooting, is lying down like this to take the long distance shots, and this is very much what you did. So these guys with this gear and the way they're shooting, that's what you and I did when we went into the desert that day. Same type of stuff, except the gun you were shooting is better looking than this guy's gun.
Okay, well, I guess, you must have some conclusions based on that, or at least perhaps we'll explore those. It's funny,
I don't know if I have conclusions about the shells in the bed, but there's other aspects of the report that absolutely we're going to look at, and you're going to, it's very, very interesting. So we're going to take a closer look at this FBI report. Shows up 2.5 years after the shooting, and well over a year after the FBI closed the case.
Yeah.
So why didn't they show us this when they said the case is closed? Here's the 2.5-page report that they got ridiculed for. Why didn't they have this report then? And why does the report now say unclassified? At one point, was it classified? And why would it be classified?
I don't understand why Pacer is so incredibly difficult to work with. If I have the case number, I should be able to just enter that and get right to the exact case. It gives me 700 cases.
Maybe the CDC built their system for them.
It's a terrible system.
Well, that's what the CDC specializes in, is terrible systems.
Indeed.
So,
Uh,
so what we're going to look at in the patron only hour, we're going to dig into this document in detail. And I put together a 10-minute video. It's actually about 9 minutes that we're going to look at the end of the patron only hour. And that video is a combination of eyewitness testimony, including Clarissa, who was really the first eyewitness that we heard verbatim say they were in the helicopters. We have the dog walking guy. We have the guy who was at the Sharks game with his family. And I put that all together into a 10-minute clip so that people can, people who are not familiar with the Las Vegas work that I've done and are just kind of familiar based on the stuff I've done with the virus. This will give you a sense of what that investigation was like and why this hypothesis is so compelling. So we're going to take a look at that video when we go to our patron only hour, and that's about a 9-minute video.
Yeah, a lot of people have been asking, John, for more Las Vegas content from you. This is great. I mean, so you've just found this document, even though it's been out there since.
I think actually, well, one of the guys who watches the channel and has been a big help, and I think he has his own channel, I think sent it to me. I could be wrong, but I think it was sent to me by Chris Thompson. So okay. Chris has his own channel, follows our stuff, publishes his own stuff. I think he sent it to me, and I'm not sure how he got his hands on it or how he became aware of it, but it's legitimate. And there's a link to the FBI. Yeah, and there's a link to the FBI archive where you can get the document from the FBI. Just opt not to log into the FBI if I can avoid it. So there we have it.
I'm just trying to find the case here on Pacer. It's so annoying how difficult that is. I mean, so you put in the case number. This is from a criminal case. Aha. So it says CR. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. So let me case type. Right. Let's change this to.
Now, while you do that, can you sort the videos on the John Cullen or on the Johnny Hoover channel? Can you go to Johnny Hoover? Yeah. And go to videos and sort reverse by date. In other words, let's see the oldest ones first. There we go. All right.
3 years
ago. For those of you who are not familiar with this work, some of the older videos I took down because there were too many false sightings or mistakes in there. So after we got more evidence and I was able to refine the observations better and better understand what was happening, I left the videos up that were pretty accurate. So these may have one or two observations that are off, but not many. And that second video there, if you click on that one with the jet plane on it, do you see the one with the
Number
jet?
33?
Yeah, exactly. So this particular video was published November 20-something of 2017. And when I published this, I was like, done. It's like, this is it. This is who did it. This is how they did it. This is the supporting evidence that I think they did it. I could be wrong. And I think it warrants further investigation. And I thought I was done. And that was November of 2017. And somebody posted a comment and said, please don't stop. And it just, I don't know, for whatever reason, it hit me. And I just said, all right, I guess maybe I was built to do this. And so this particular video gets into what might have been the story behind this shooting. And the reason that the whole thing became so suspicious was because the eyewitness footage that we were seeing from the cell phones, we could see shots coming from 32-134, and there were only 8 of them. And what we're going to find out later tonight is there were supposedly over 1,000 shots fired from the other room, and we don't see any of them. Now, if only 8 shots are taken from one room, and we can see a handful of them on film, we should be able to see 1 or 2 shots coming out of thousands, and we don't. And so where that leads us is somewhere incredibly uncomfortable that's somewhat in sync with, I guess, what happened last week in the Senate. I think there was either a congressional or a Senate hearing where Christopher Wray was being asked a whole bunch of questions about the Olympics and Larry Nassar.
Right, the abuse.
Mm-hmm. And they really put him on the hot seat. And then in the last 24 or 48 hours, they put him on the hot seat also about this thing with Hillary Clinton and the lawyer, the Sussman guy. And they were, you guys didn't know that he was working with Hillary and all this other stuff. So things are getting a little heated for Christopher Wray. Christopher Wray was appointed in the summer before the Las Vegas shooting. So he was the director that was in charge at the time that this whole thing took place. And Christopher Wray's an interesting character. Christopher Wray went to Buckley, went to Yale. He's
what does Buckley have to do with William F. Buckley?
Nothing. He's just meaning when you go to Buckley, it's a boarding school. It's the fancy boarding.
William F. Buckley.
Well, you have to ask who knows more about William F. Buckley than Charles. Ask Charles. Charles knows everything about William F. Buckley. So, but the thing here is, this is a Yale guy, works at the FBI, has a net worth between something like $20 and $40 million from his legal work. Right. And he's the director during the shooting. So this happens on his watch. And what that means is, if that document that we're looking at is forged evidence, meaning that document.
Who thinks that?
Go ahead.
I don't think
Who thinks
forged.
that
the FBI thing?
All right. Yeah. So the document that I showed you earlier. Yeah. So when I say forged evidence, let's talk about this definition before we go patron only. This is a term that Paladin used when he came on the show. We had Paladin on to talk about the autopsies. And he said these autopsies are forged. And I took offense. I thought he was saying that I forged them and that I created a bunch of fake autopsies. Right. And that was not what he meant. What he was trying to say is, no, you didn't do it. Meaning these autopsies aren't like real. Yes, they came from the coroner and stuff, but these aren't like legit autopsies. And the truth was, what I said to him is, they're not admissible in court because they're not notarized. An autopsy has to be notarized in order to be admissible in court. So with this document, I believe my hypothesis is that this document is forged evidence. Meaning, yes,
this FBI laboratory document is forged evidence that somebody's put in on the docket in a criminal case here.
Not someone, the FBI. The FBI has produced a document.
How do we know? That's somebody. We don't know how it got to this courtroom from the FBI.
No.
We need to know who submitted this.
No, it's signed at the bottom. If you go all the way down to the bottom of the document, you'll see who from the FBI submitted it. And it's all the way down, all the way on the last page. And you'll see who submitted this thing and all that kind of stuff. Eric Smith, Firearms Tool Marks Unit of the FBI.
Well, that means he signed this document as it was submitted to the FBI. We don't know how it got from the FBI to this court docket to you.
No. But it came from the FBI. It has an FBI header, right? You go back to the page one. Yes. It's from the FBI. So the question is, did the FBI do all this work on all these shell casings, and they matched all these shell casings? Just scroll a couple pages and show people kind of what's in here. It seems like they must have,
but you raise the excellent point of like, why the hell did they keep this classified?
Well, why did it take 2.5 years to produce it? And if you're really going to test every single brass empty cartridge case that was found on the floor of that hotel room and match it to every single rifle and tell me that this cartridge was fired from this gun and this cartridge was fired from that gun, why don't we see any video of any gunfire coming from room 32135?
Yeah.
So you're going to tell me all these guns fired all these rounds, but there's no video evidence of that whatsoever. And this doesn't address all of these eyewitnesses who are saying, no, the shooting was coming from the helicopters.
What about the fact that you have found police body cam video evidence that indicates that the window wasn't even broken at the time that they said it was?
So when we add all that evidence up, what that means is this document is manufactured nonsense.
It's very strange.
All right. And if that's the case, who's going to be held accountable, Director Wray? Should it be Aaron Rouse, or should it be the director of the FBI, given that more people were shot and killed that day than in any day in modern history in the United States? So if more people were killed that day, shot and killed that day than in any other day in modern history in the United States, who takes responsibility for this piece of forged evidence? And I can tell you right now that I can audit the systems at the FBI and I can prove this didn't happen.
Wow.
Because of my knowledge of Oracle. It's Oracle. So
that's
basically
amazing,
it's database.
I'm not doubting you. I'm excited to see this. See, one of the things people don't realize, depending on who the co-host is, there's a vastly different process. Like David Hawkins and I spend a few hours arguing about what the show is going to be the day before. You basically text me sometime between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. saying, title, document, start. I don't ever really look at the document or know what we're going to be doing. And each show has kind of like a different feel as a result of the co-host's style of distilling it down. Charles just shows up and starts talking. This is going to be really interesting to see. And today is a great day for people to become sponsors if they haven't done that already, because it's the first of the month. There is a huge library of content. Now, John, just quickly to go over for people, because I have been going back and I've been restoring items, legacy videos. First of all, to that John Cullen Investigates YouTube channel, but also legacy sponsor exclusive content. And because of technical issues with Patreon and Vimeo, I can't do that for our Patreon sponsors. We still really do appreciate the Patreon sponsors, and I get it. There's people that prefer to watch on Patreon. But if you want to get the best value and have access to the largest segment of the library that's constantly being updated, you can join us on Subscribestar. And make sure you check out subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen, as well as subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Patreon viewers can still get us there. But the other advantage of Subscribestar is that you can participate in the beta test of the Crowdsource the Truth video server. We're going to be over there in just 4 minutes, John. Anything else you want to say before we make that transition?
Sunday night at 10:05 p.m., I'll be premiering a new video, which is an interview with another eyewitness. These folks went to one of the medieval jousting tournaments, where the knights are doing the thing with the horses and the thing, and he and his wife and kids were there, came out of the show, and see the helicopters. So the whole Excalibur story, we're going to hear that Sunday night. So we got the dog walking guy, we've got the folks that were at the Sharks game, and now we've got the Knights, the folks from the Excalibur.
Oh man, that's great.
All right, so we've got another eyewitness Sunday
while
night.
we were in Vegas.
Yeah, something tells me we'd end up with the stick in the eye somehow. Somehow. So,
all right, we've got
and just finally, let's wrap up on this. This week, Mike Pompeo kind of acknowledged that the government was going to kill Julian Assange if they could.
He didn't deny it.
Right. So people want to know why I'm incognito. It's because the U.S. government will kill you when you divulge the secrets they don't want divulged. And they've now made that pretty clear. The secrets that I have divulged, I think I've got a higher body count than Julian Assange. He's divulged more emails, but I think I got the
Well, I
higher
mean,
body
no,
count.
he was talking about stuff with Syria and Libya and all kinds of stuff. But you're right. I mean, look, don't worry about people who don't like the hat or the glasses. You got to take care of your safety. And I think people are mostly interested in hearing about the information that you bring forward. Most of the people who attack you or your style do that because they cannot challenge the facts and evidence that you presented. But we've got to make our transition here to subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen, patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, and subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Huge thank you to the viewer sponsors that make this and every show on Crowdsource the Truth possible. We'll see you over there on Subscribestar and Patreon in just 2 minutes. Thanks for tuning in.